Ing.
Stop! She is not breathing!
The order comes before anyone says her name. Do not let him near her. The words are quiet, controlled, spoken into a throat mic like routine procedure. A black-suited security chief steps sideways, placing his body between the woman on the floor and the growing ring of people around her. Another guard raises his hand toward the crowd, palm out, not to help, but to block angles. Phones freeze mid-air, lenses still open, fingers still recording. In the private terminal, the first instinct is not rescue. It is control. The woman on the floor is Valeria Cade, Billionaire CEO, a name that moves stock prices with a sentence. A woman whose company acquires other companies the way people acquire habits, quietly, repeatedly, without apology. Her face has lived on magazine covers, courtroom screens, and protest banners long enough that people forget it belongs to a body. Right now, that body is the wrong color. Her hair fans against the polished stone. One heel sits twisted at an angle that looks expensive and painful. Her eyes are half open, unfocused, staring through the ceiling like it has already let her down. Her mouth hangs a fraction too loose, as if her muscles have forgotten how to hold themselves together. A concierge drops to one knee. His hands hover inches above her shoulder. He looks at her face, then at her chest. Then he looks up. The security chief gives a small, sharp shake of his head. Not here. Not like this. Not with witnesses. The concierge swallows and pulls his hands back as if burned. A man in a navy suit presses a finger to his earpiece. His voice stays low, calm, bored even. She's down, he says. Yes, she's down. Phones lift higher. That's her. No way. She's not supposed to. Is she? No one finishes the sentence. Saying it feels dangerous. Like naming it might make it permanent. Near the glass doors, a little boy stands beside his aunt. He is about 9, thin, with restless eyes that refuse to settle. His school uniform hangs slightly too big on his frame, like it belonged to someone else first. The cuffs of his trousers brush his shoes. He clutches a cheap plastic bag with a sandwich inside that he hasn't eaten. His aunt tightens her grip on his wrist when she notices him leaning forward. No, she whispers. Micah, don't. Micah doesn't answer. He is not watching the phones. Not the security. Not the polished shoes gathering around the woman like punctuation. He is watching her chest. It does not rise. It does not fall. Her throat does not swallow. He steps forward. His aunt grabs him harder. Micah, stop. He twists free with the sudden strength of panic. A guard snaps toward him. Hey, kid, back. Micah ducks past his leg, slipping through a gap adults don't notice because they don't believe children move with intention. He drops to his knees beside the woman. The cold stone bites through his trousers. He doesn't feel it. He leans close to her mouth and holds his breath. 1 second. 2. Nothing. His stomach drops so hard it feels like falling. Around him, the terminal hums with low voices, annoyed, managerial, impatient. Like they are discussing a delay instead of a person. Micah's voice cuts through it. Stop. She's not breathing. The sentence lands wrong. Illegal. The sound freezes the space. Heads whip around. A woman in sunglasses mutters, "Whose kid is that?" A man scoffs. "Get him away from her." The navy-suited man turns sharply. His irritation is already formed. Remove the child. Now. A guard reaches for Micah's shoulder. Micah jerks away. Listen to me. Her chest isn't moving. The grip tightens. You need to step back. Micah points, his hand shaking. You're standing there. She's. The word won't land. Dead. Not dead. Almost. A uniformed airport medic arrives at a jog, face flushed, annoyance flickering across his expression at the sight of phones and chaos. He pushes through, drops to one knee, and presses 2 fingers to Valeria Cade's neck. His expression changes too quickly. I've got a weak pulse, he says. Barely. Micah snaps back, raw and immediate. That's because her heart is still trying. But she's not breathing. That's what matters. The medic blinks. Who taught you that? Micah doesn't answer. Nobody taught him. He watched a woman stop breathing once while adults argued about permission. He watched time stretch thin and sharp. He watched regret arrive after it was useless. The medic tilts Valeria's head back, checks her airway. Nothing. Valeria makes a sound. Wet, brief, wrong, then goes still again. The medic's fingers return to her neck. His eyes widen. No pulse, he says. The terminal exhales like something just broke. Micah's aunt pushes forward, face white. Micah, come back. Right now. Micah doesn't move. His hands are already on Valeria Cade's chest. The guard lunges. Stop. The medic catches his arm. Wait. The navy-suited man's voice slices through them. Absolutely not. Get him off her. Micah looks up at him, eyes burning. You don't care if she dies. You care if people see it. For half a second, the man's face empties. Then it hardens. Remove him. Micah locks his elbows the way he remembers from a video he watched late at night, desperate to know what to do if it ever happened again. 1, he says, pressing down. Valeria's ribs resist, then give slightly. He flinches, but he keeps going. 2, 3. His count is not loud. It is steady, like a promise he refuses to break. His aunt sobs his name. The medic hesitates, caught between rules and reality. 1, Micah says again. 2, 3. Valeria's body jerks. A cough tears out of her, violent and ugly. Air slams back into her lungs in a ragged gasp, then another. The terminal erupts. Someone screams. Someone cries. Someone laughs like they can't stop it. Oxygen, the medic shouts. Paramedics flood in late and decisive, snapping equipment into place, reclaiming authority like it always belonged to them. They lift Valeria onto a stretcher, strap a mask over her face, attach monitors that beep thin, stubborn life. Micah scrambles backward, shaking so hard his teeth chatter. His hands hover in front of him like he doesn't trust them anymore. His aunt drops beside him and crushes him into her arms. They were just watching, Micah whispers. They were just watching. The stretcher rolls past. Valeria's eyelids flutter. Not awake, not aware. But something in her face shifts, like her body recognizes it has been dragged back from a border it nearly crossed. Relief hits Micah so hard it makes him dizzy. Then it dies. The navy-suited man kneels beside Micah and his aunt. His smile is careful, practiced. You understand, he says calmly, that what happened here will be reviewed. Micah's aunt glares. You saw him save her. Documentation requires accuracy, the man replies. It requires truth, Micah says, surprised at how steady his voice sounds. The man tilts his head. Truth becomes complicated when emotions are involved. He rises and steps away, already speaking into his earpiece. Contained footage. Civilian videos first. No child narrative. Micah feels cold crawl up his spine. Outside, rain hangs in the air like metal. They walk fast toward the bus stop, heads down. A black sedan rolls past too slowly, windows tinted, body spotless. It doesn't stop. It circles the block anyway. Micah's aunt grips his wrist. Don't look. His phone buzzes. Unknown number. A message appears. You did not see what you think you saw. Another follows. If you speak, you become the story. Micah's throat closes. Across the city, behind locked doors and controlled statements, Valeria Cade breathes with help while people who profit from silence begin deciding which version of reality will survive and which witness won't. The hospital does not smell like medicine. It smells like money. Carpet soft enough to swallow footsteps. Art that looks chosen to calm people who make decisions for a living. Glass walls that let light in but keep sound out. The private wing absorbs noise the way it absorbs consequence. Valeria Cade lies motionless in a bed that costs more than most houses. Oxygen hissing softly beside her, heart monitor ticking in a thin, obedient rhythm. Alive. Controlled. Managed. A doctor stands at the foot of the bed, hands folded, voice precise. Brief airway obstruction. Oxygen deprivation. Timely intervention prevented irreversible damage. Timely. The word hangs there, heavy, unclaimed. A woman in a slate gray suit nods once, already done with the explanation. She'll wake. We expect so, the doctor says. The timeline is unpredictable. That's acceptable, the woman replies. She turns to the man in the Navy suit. Prepare the statement. He doesn't ask what it will say. Sudden medical episode. Swift response by trained personnel. And the child, he asks quietly. The woman doesn't look at him. There was no child. Across the city, Micah lies awake on the couch, eyes fixed on the ceiling. Every time he closes them, he hears the sound again. The cough. The gasp. The moment air tore back into Valeria Cade's lungs like it was angry it had been kept out. His aunt sits at the small kitchen table, phone face down, hands wrapped around a mug she hasn't touched. The light above her hums faintly. They can't do this, she says for the third time. Micah turns his head toward her. They already are. His phone vibrates. Unknown number. She reaches it before he does. Reads. Her jaw tightens, muscles jumping in her cheek. What? Micah asks. She shakes her head too quickly. Nothing. By morning, the story has settled into place. Breaking news banners crawl across every screen. Billionaire CEO suffers sudden medical episode. Swift response by airport medical team praised. Authorities warn against civilian interference. The footage is cropped so tightly it feels surgical. The floor, the crowd, the stretcher. No child, no voice, no counting. A commentator smiles into the camera. This incident highlights the importance of letting trained professionals handle emergencies. Another nods. Untrained intervention can actually make situations worse. Micah stops walking outside a neighbor's open window. His aunt takes 3 steps before she realizes he isn't beside her anymore. That's not what happened, he says. I know, she whispers, pulling him close. I know. At school, the looks come before the bell. That's him. The kid from the airport. A boy laughs. He almost killed her. Micah's chest tightens. I didn't. The teacher cuts in sharply. Enough. But the whispers don't stop. They follow him down hallways, into the cafeteria, into the space behind his eyes. At lunch, a phone slides across the table. A paused video. A comment beneath it with thousands of likes. Why did security let some random kid interfere? Micah pushes the phone away and leaves his food untouched. That afternoon, the call comes. The principal's office smells like lemon cleaner and careful concern. The principal smiles the way adults do when they already know the outcome. We're worried about Micah's well-being, she says. My nephew is fine, his aunt replies. There's been a tension, the principal says, folding her hands. Media speculation. Online hostility. It may be best if Micah takes some time away from school. Suspended, his aunt asks. Not officially. The principal says quickly. Just until things calm down. And if they don't, the principal's smile falters. We have to prioritize safety. Whose safety remains unspoken. That night, the tone of the messages shifts. Different numbers. Same calm. People are angry. Children don't understand consequences. You made it worse. Micah turns his phone off and presses it into the couch cushion like he's trying to smother it. In the hospital, Valeria's fingers twitch. A nurse freezes mid-step. Doctor. Valeria's eyelids flutter. Her breath rasps against the oxygen mask. In the hallway, the slate-gray woman receives the update. Her expression doesn't change. That's inconvenient, she says. Post-hypoxic memory can be unreliable. But her grip tightens on her phone. By the next morning, the smear sharpens. A former emergency consultant appears on television, face grave. Untrained chest compressions can be extremely dangerous. The host leans forward. So the child could have caused harm, the consultant finishes. Especially without supervision. Micah throws the remote. It hits the wall and clatters to the floor. They're making me the problem, he says, voice breaking. His aunt sinks onto the couch beside him. They're trying to erase you. The knock comes that afternoon. Measured, polite, confident. 2 figures stand outside the door. A man, a woman, clipboards. Calm smiles. Ms. Osei, the woman says. We're from Child Services. The air rearranges itself. We received reports, the woman continues, that Micah has been exposed to significant psychological stress. From who? His aunt snaps. A school administrator. Concerned online parties. A legal representative. Legal. We're obligated to assess, the man adds gently. They sit at the kitchen table. The questions come wrapped in sympathy. Do you feel responsible for what happened to Ms. Cade? The woman asks. Micah frowns. She stopped breathing. That's not what I asked. Micah swallows. I helped her. The man nods slowly. Children sometimes interpret situations emotionally. I counted, Micah says. She coughed. She breathed. The woman writes something down. She slides a document across the table. Temporary supervision authorization. His aunt stiffens. You're not taking him. Not today, the woman says. This gives us options. After they leave, Micah's phone buzzes. Unknown number. A video file. No message. Micah opens it with shaking hands. The footage is raw. Shaky. Uncropped. Valeria on the floor. Adults hesitating. A small boy dropping to his knees. Counting. 1, 2, 3. The cough. The gasp. Micah's breath stutters. They have it. His phone vibrates again. If this goes public, they will take you. He shows his aunt. Her face drains of color. They can't. Neither of them believes it. Across the city, Valeria opens her eyes fully. Pain flares in her chest. The room swims. There was a boy, she says hoarsely. The nurse stills. Miss Cade, you need to rest. He counted, Valeria whispers. Before I could breathe. Minutes later, the slate-gray woman stands at the foot of the bed. Memory can be unreliable after oxygen deprivation, she begins. Valeria's gaze sharpens. You're lying. Silence stretches. That boy saved my life, Valeria says. That interpretation creates legal exposure. The navy-suited man replies. Valeria meets his eyes. So does silencing witnesses. That evening, an email arrives in Micah's aunt's inbox. Temporary protective placement approved. Her hands shake as she reads it. They're coming back, she whispers. Micah grips his phone. The video file feels heavier than it should. The truth exists now, and it has a price. Outside, a black sedan idles longer than necessary. Micah watches it through the curtain and counts his breaths. 1, 2, 3. The knock comes again. And this time, it doesn't ask. The knock does not wait for permission. It lands heavy against the door, once, twice, measured like someone counting. Micah's aunt is already standing when it happens. She doesn't reach for the handle right away. She looks at Micah first. Stay behind me, she says. Micah does not argue. His phone is in his hand. The video file feels warm, like it knows it matters. She opens the door. The same woman from Child Services stands there, but she is no longer smiling. The man beside her holds a folded document instead of a clipboard. We have a court order, he says calmly. Temporary protective placement. On what grounds? Micah's aunt demands. Psychological risk, the woman replies. Media exposure. Emotional fixation. Micah steps forward. I'm not fixated. She stopped breathing. The woman looks at him with practiced sadness. That belief is exactly the concern. They move quickly, faster than resistance allows. The man steps inside. Another figure appears behind them, just out of frame. Not Child Services. No badge. No introduction. Micah feels it then. The shift. This is no longer procedure. This is retrieval. His aunt blocks the hallway. You are not taking him. The man unfolds the paper and holds it up, careful not to let her touch it. We're not asking. Micah's chest tightens. Auntie, run, she says suddenly. He doesn't think. He moves. He bolts past them, heart slamming, shoes skidding on tile. A hand grabs his backpack and misses. Someone swears. The door to the stairwell is already closing when he reaches it. He wedges his body through and keeps going. Down, down, down. His phone buzzes violently in his hand. Unknown number. He ignores it. He bursts out into the street, lungs burning, rain slicking the pavement. Cars hiss past. People stare and then look away. A black sedan pulls from the curb too smoothly to be coincidence. Micah turns, runs. He cuts through an alley, then another, slipping through spaces too small for adults who aren't desperate. He ducks behind a dumpster and presses himself flat against brick, breath sawing in and out of his chest. Footsteps echo. Check the back, a voice says. His phone vibrates again. He doesn't have to look to know who it is. Valeria Cade. He answers with shaking fingers. Micah, Valeria says. Her voice is rough, real, alive. Listen to me. They're trying to take me, he whispers. I know, she says. Do not give them the phone. Do not. They have papers. They always do, Valeria says. That doesn't make it right. A shadow stretches across the mouth of the alley. They're here, Micah whispers. I'm coming, Valeria says. I don't care what it costs. The call drops. Hands grab Micah's arms. Not rough. Not gentle. Certain. The world tilts. The room Micah wakes up in has white walls and no windows that open. The bed is bolted to the floor. The light hums softly, never fully bright, never fully dark. His phone is gone. His backpack is gone. Even his shoes are gone. A woman in scrubs sits across from him with a tablet on her lap. Micah, she says gently, you've been under a lot of stress. He stares at her. Where's my aunt? She's safe, the woman says. Where? The woman smiles. That's not information we share. Micah's throat tightens. I want my phone. It's being evaluated. For what? For your well-being. He looks at his hands. They are shaking. She wasn't breathing, he says. The woman nods slowly, like she expected that. You feel very strongly about that. It's not a feeling. She writes something down. The door clicks softly when she leaves. The lock slides home. Micah presses his palms to his eyes and breathes through the rising panic. 1, 2, 3. Across the city, Valeria stands in a parking garage lit too brightly. Her head of security speaks fast. They serve the order digitally. Sealed. Emergency jurisdiction. They took him, Valeria says. Yes. Her jaw tightens. Where? We don't know yet. The words land like a slap. They wouldn't move this fast unless they were afraid, Valeria says. What are they afraid of? Her head of security hesitates. Precedent. Valeria exhales sharply. She understands now. Not just Micah. What he represents. A witness who didn't wait. A child who acted when adults froze. That video, Valeria says. They don't just want to suppress it. They want to erase the person who made it matter. Her phone buzzes. A message from an unknown number. Stop pushing. The child is safe as long as you are quiet. Valeria stares at the screen. Her hand shakes once, then stills. Prepare the contingency, she says. Now. In the white room, days blur. Micah is asked the same questions by different people with different smiles. Do you understand why adults were upset? Do you think you might have imagined parts of what happened? Would you feel better if you admitted you were confused? They bring a camera once. Just say you panicked, the man says gently. Say you misunderstood. Then you can go home. Micah's mouth opens. Nothing comes out. He looks at the lens. Thinks of the counting. The ribs giving way. The cough. No, he says. The man's smile fades. You're making this harder than it needs to be. Micah whispers. You're making me disappear. No one answers. That silence is worse than shouting. Valeria's world starts to burn in controlled bursts. Analysts question her judgment. Headlines use words like unstable and emotionally compromised. A petition circulates suggesting she is projecting trauma onto a minor. The board calls an emergency session without her. Her access to corporate systems begins to fail. Passwords rejected. Cards denied. Doors that used to open stay red. They're freezing you out, her head of security says. Valeria watches the red light blink. They think this is leverage. It is. She smiles faintly. Not the kind they understand. She opens a folder on a burner laptop. Inside are files she never wanted to use. Emails. Memos. Strategy threads. The truth, organized. Her phone buzzes again. If you resume exposure, the child will be relocated permanently. Valeria closes her eyes. Micah's voice counts in her memory. 1, 2, 3. She opens them again. Resume, she says. The upload begins. In the white room, the door opens at midnight. 2 men stand there. Suits. Clean shoes. No smiles. You're being moved, one says. Where? Micah asks. Somewhere quieter. Fear spikes sharp and cold. I didn't do anything wrong, Micah says. That's not the issue. They take his arm. As they lead him down a hallway he has never seen, Micah understands something fully for the first time. This is not about whether he was right. It is about whether the world can afford for him to be. The car smells like leather and disinfectant. No handles on the inside. No windows that open. Micah presses his forehead to the glass and watches the city slide past in fragments he doesn't recognize. He tries to remember how long it has been since he last saw his aunt's face. Time has turned soft around the edges, slippery. The man beside him does not look at him. You'll be more comfortable soon, the man says. Micah does not answer. The gate opens. Closes. Inside, the building has no sign. No logo. No indication that it belongs to anyone. The hallway is too clean, the lights too steady. The kind of place designed to leave no impression. They lead him into a small room with a single chair bolted to the floor. The door shuts. Micah sits very still. He presses his feet flat to the ground and breathes. 1, 2, 3. Across the city, the upload hits the world like a rupture. Emails appear on screens without context, then gain it within minutes. Legal memos outlining minor witness mitigation. Message threads debating optics, timing, acceptable pressure. A phrase circulates faster than anyone expects. Protective removal. Anchors stop smiling. Analysts stop hedging. Share prices wobble, then drop. Regulators announce inquiries using words that mean they already know where to look. Valeria watches it unfold from a borrowed office with borrowed furniture and borrowed time. Her phone vibrates constantly. She does not answer most of it. Her head of security stands near the window. They're scrambling. They always do, Valeria says. A message appears on her screen from an unknown number. You chose exposure over safety. Valeria types back with steady hands. I chose the child. The reply comes fast. Then don't expect him back. The words land like a blow. Valeria closes her eyes for half a second. When she opens them, something has shifted. The fear has burned off, leaving something colder. Find him, she says. Her head of security hesitates. They moved him off ledger. I know, Valeria replies. That narrows it. Hours compress into minutes. A fragment of routing. A purchase order buried under a shell company. A transport request that doesn't belong to anyone but moves anyway. The kind of trail that only exists because someone assumed no one would ever follow it. At dawn, her head of security looks up from a screen. We have a location. Valeria is already standing. Take me. The warehouse looks empty from the outside. No guards. No signs. Just concrete and silence. Valeria steps out of the vehicle without waiting. Her breath is shallow, uneven, but she keeps moving. Her security fans out, controlled, precise. The door resists at first, then opens. Inside, the air is cold. Micah hears footsteps and stiffens. The door opens. He looks up. Valeria stands there, smaller than she was in the terminal, thinner, pale, oxygen tubing tucked beneath her coat. Her eyes meet his and hold. Micah, she says. He stands so fast the chair scrapes. He runs. She catches him awkwardly, arms shaking, breath hitching, but she holds him anyway. I told you I'd find you, she whispers. Micah presses his face into her coat and nods. He doesn't cry loudly. He cries like someone afraid the sound might get taken too. Around them, voices rise. Orders snap. Someone backs away. Someone else swears softly. It's over, Valeria says, not raising her voice. No one argues. They leave together. By the time the story breaks, it breaks everywhere at once. The retrieval is documented. The contracts are named. The judges involved deny knowledge until the paperwork says otherwise. One executive resigns before noon. Another is indicted by nightfall. A third disappears into the quiet obscurity reserved for people who know when not to be seen. The system eats some of its own and calls it accountability. Valeria testifies for 8 hours straight without oxygen, without pause. She does not soften her words. She does not embellish. She tells the truth the way she always has, precise enough to cut. She loses the company. She keeps herself. Micah goes home thinner, quieter, changed in ways no headline captures. His aunt holds him like she's afraid he might vanish again if she lets go. They do not talk about the locked rooms. They talk about groceries, about school, about weather. Time passes. Micah returns to class with a different walk. Not proud, not heroic, careful. When hallways feel too long, he counts his steps. 1, 2, 3. Valeria lives without the machinery that once answered to her name. She attends hearings under a name no one recognizes. When people thank her for courage, she answers honestly. I wasn't brave, she says. I was late. The only time Micah breaks is on an ordinary Tuesday. A substitute teacher collapses during a meeting. Nothing dramatic. People hesitate. Chairs scrape. Someone says they should wait. Micah moves. He kneels. Checks breathing. Opens an airway. Counts. The nurse arrives. The teacher wakes. Everyone praises Micah. He throws up quietly afterward, hands shaking, heart pounding like it's angry with him. That night, Valeria's phone buzzes. I still count. She replies. So do I. Years later, Micah stands on a train platform waiting for a ride he has taken 100 times. He is taller now, quieter. His phone buzzes with a message he expects. Valeria is in town. They meet for coffee near the station. Ordinary. Unremarkable. Do you ever wish it hadn't been you? Micah asks. Valeria considers the question. I wish it hadn't been necessary. He nods. The train arrives. He stands. She doesn't hug him. She never does. You're going to be okay, she says. Micah smiles faintly. I know. The doors close. The train disappears. The world does not change overnight. Corporations still hide. Institutions still protect themselves. Children are still ignored when they are inconvenient. But somewhere inside the machinery, something has shifted. A documented failure. A witness who survived. A child who counted when adults waited. And every once in a while, when a room goes quiet and someone hesitates instead of helping, a voice cuts through. Stop. She's not breathing. And people move faster than they used to. Because stories don't save the world. Witnesses do.